Hi, everybody. Chef Julia Dunaway. Just wanting to catch you up on what's been going on. And I was not able to go live yesterday because we spent a lot more time at the airport than we thought we were going to. Our flight was delayed for several hours because of weather here in Arkansas, not the weather there. So that kind of threw off our schedule. And we didn't get into town until much later than we planned. And you know how it is getting a rental car, getting to your final destination, which in our case was this beautiful bed and breakfast. And I posted some pictures of it on the Facebook support group that I no longer can manage, but my husband is still a member of it. So we can post things from my husband's Facebook account. So I have the chat enabled. So if you're around and you want to let me know that you're watching, I'm watching the chat on my laptop here, so I'll be able to respond to any of your questions or comments. So somebody let me know that you're on here so that I'll be able to talk to you guys. So anyway, we finally got into our bed and breakfast, and this is a traditional bed and breakfast. It's not an Airbnb. It's where it's a big house. The owner and the owners live here in the house. And some part of the house, we're not exactly sure where. My husband said there were, thought 6 rooms, 6 bedrooms, a couple of suites. Okay, Kim C is on. Hi, Kim. Thanks for watching. So we think there are 6 guest rooms and the owners live somewhere on the property, but it's it's not old, but it looks old. It's a Victorian style house. Hi from Miami, from Janny. Hi, Janny. So it's a really beautiful Victorian house, and it's in this town called Bentonville, Arkansas. And most people have never heard of this town, including me when I first heard about it from my husband, Steve. But it is the home of Walmart. So the original Walmart, which is called the 5 and Dime, but it's not called Walmart. What's it called, Steve?
It was Sam Walton's original
Ben Franklin store. So anyway, it's here and it's small. It's not very big at all. And that's where the whole Walmart business started. So it's pretty fascinating. So anyway, my husband's here on a business trip. So I'm just hanging out with him, trying to relax a little bit, get a break from the dogs. It's been hard raising puppies. So having a little break from the dogs is nice to be able to sleep past 5 o'clock in the morning and not have a dog standing there on the bed trying to wake you up. Have a sip of my tea here. So, you know, we're both relaxing. Today was the day where he did not have part of his business trip. So we were able to go hang out and do things, but we got in so late last night. I thought about doing a live stream last night, but the lighting was terrible. And like right now, I'm right by a window and the lighting is pretty good. So this is fine. But last night I was putting my camera in different places and it was just not good. And then plus it was getting later and later. And I thought, no, I just can't do it. So sorry, I told you I would be live streaming daily, but I had to skip a day. That kind of stuff happens. But I did want to kind of go over some of the things that have to do with traveling. And because this whole thing is the 21-day challenge, right? So we are on Sunday was day 7. So Monday was day 8. I need to write this in my little journal that I'm making here. Day 8. Today is day 9. Day 9 of the 21-day challenge. So I started this live stream because I said I was going to do 21 days of live streaming during this challenge to follow the whole food, plant-based, no oil way of eating that is called the Daily Dozen, which was from the book How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. So I know there are a bunch of other whole food, plant-based, no oil ways of eating and different plans, the Starch Solution and the McDougall program and Dr. Esselstyn's program, Plant Strong, Engine 2, Chef AJ, there's a bunch of different whole food plant-based programs out there. So, this is just one of them. And the Daily Dozen was just the one that I picked because I liked it and thought it was simple. So that's for those of you who might be watching this replay or coming on and have never heard of this. I just like to always mention what it is during the time that I'm talking. So what do you do when you travel? When you go away from your home and you're trying to eat your whole food plant-based foods and do the best you can depending on the situation. Well, I think a lot of it depends on where you're going, what's available, and how much time and energy you want to invest in sticking to your plan. So for example, somebody who's really, really 100% invested in sticking to this and not straying from it at all might do something like pack a suitcase and check the suitcase, and in the suitcase have a mini Instant Pot and some little cooking utensils and cooking vessels and some food, even some dried food and whatever they're going to eat for the whole time they're gone. I've heard of people that do that, and they cook their food in the hotel room. In fact, I did a whole class called Travel Class back last year, and we went through this whole thing for 2.5 hours on how to do exactly that, how to bring all this equipment. And I bought like a mini electric skillet, a little like a boiler pot, and all kinds of, and a mini Instant Pot, so that I could take it with me on a trip in a suitcase. So that's one option. Or go to an Airbnb where they have cooking equipment and they have stoves and ovens and whatnot, refrigerators. So that's another option, that you pack a suitcase with all your food that you're going to need and you go to an Airbnb. The other one is, if you're going to a hotel, take all your cooking equipment with you in a checked suitcase, because you can't carry that kind of stuff on the airplane. It's really, well, I guess you could if you didn't have anything else to carry. So that's something you can do. And the third option is what I'm doing on this trip, which is very short. We left on Monday. We're leaving to go home on Thursday. So we're only here, we got here late Monday, so really Tuesday and Wednesday, and then go back Thursday. So we're not really away from home that long. So I opted this time to not take a bunch of stuff with me and to eat from what was available where I was staying. But to start with, I did take some food with me. So for example, on Monday, the day we left for our trip, I knew that there's nothing to eat at airports. As far as I'm concerned, there's very little to eat. And it depends on the terminal you're in. We live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so there are several terminals, and some terminals have really great choices and others don't. Well, the terminal we were leaving from had very few choices. So I knew that there wasn't going to be any way to get a meal at the airport. Okay, I haven't seen any new people come on, but I'm watching the chat. So if anyone comes on, I'll see you. So in order to prepare for just the day of traveling, I had a big breakfast because I knew that way I wouldn't get hungry until late in the afternoon. I had my usual breakfast, everyday breakfast, a smoothie with blueberries and bananas and all the flaxseed, chia seed, spices, hemp seeds, all the stuff that I put in my smoothie. And then I also had some greens, and I had overnight oatmeal that I had made a couple days before. So it had berries, a little almond butter, some granola, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, everything. It was very filling. So when we left for the airport, I was like, oh, I'm stuffed. I don't need to eat anything during this whole trip. But just in case, I brought some food along, because in my experience, at some point, people start wanting to eat lunch. And I thought, well, who knows? Maybe, once we're on the plane and, it's lunchtime, I might get hungry. So I packed myself an almond butter and jam sandwich. I know that doesn't sound all that great, on Dave's bread. And it was like half of a sandwich because I knew I wasn't going to be very hungry. And I packed that along with, and I had told you I made those chocolate date cookies on YouTube live the other day. Hi, Penny. So I've packed my chocolate date cookies, a couple of them, in my little bag that I had to ride on the airplane, and my half of a sandwich and some dehydrated apple chips. And so I did have some snacks to eat but I wasn't planning to eat a meal because, we were supposed to get on the airplane at 12:30, or our flight was supposed to leave at 12:30, but it didn't end up leaving until like, I can't remember, 4 o'clock or something. But by that time, after sitting in the airport since, 10:30 in the morning, I, I was starting to get hungry about 1:30 in the afternoon. And so I ate my sandwich and my apple chips and one of these oatmeal date cookies also. And it was funny because I was looking around the airport at the food choices. Penny says, eating while traveling is hard, not much to choose from. That's exactly right, Penny. So here I was sitting at the gate at the airport. We got there, I think it was like 10 o'clock. And so we're sitting around, and right where the gate is, where we were leaving from, is a Whataburger and a Dickey's barbecue. And we were right in the middle of those two restaurants, and the smells were so strong. Apple 369 says, hello, Chef Julie. I have a pot of your red lentil soup simmering on my stove. Oh, that's great. I wish I had that right now. That sounds wonderful. I know that soup is good. I make it all the time. In fact, I need to make another batch because I've used my last bowl. So anyway, sitting around Dickey's barbecue and Whataburger and smelling the grease, to me, it kind of makes me feel a little queasy now, that strong smell of grease, because I'm so far away from eating greasy stuff. So I was thinking, oh, I'm so glad I brought something to eat because there really isn't anything here. And we were stuck there for hours. So fortunately, I had my food and I was very happy with that. And when we got into town, let's see, Kim says, do you have a class on dehydrating? I have an air fryer that also does dehydrating, but I have no clue how to do that. Kim, I have not dehydrated food. However, I know a lot of people do that. And you can maybe Google it and find out for yourself. And I'll make a note to look into that because I'm kind of interested in that too. I've been buying these they're called Bear apple chips and banana chips, and they have all these different dried fruits, and they're actually pretty good, but I bet I could make my own, especially this. I have figs growing in my yard, and I wonder if I could dehydrate my figs this year, or maybe even some of the vegetables that I'm growing. So I made a note to look that up, but right now I don't know. But it was really handy to have the food with me. And I do buy, Costco sells the Bear apple chips in a big box, and they're in very small little bags. They're 2-ounce portions or something that are really handy to take. So I wish I had brought more of those because all they are dried apples. They don't have any added sugar or anything else. So, those are handy to have. And having the date breakfast cookies was great because if you want to eat something, Penny says soaked and dehydrated nuts are supposed to digest better. That's good to know. Thank you, Penny. Yeah, the date cookies were great because they hold together really well and they're like a meal. So if you really were hungry and you brought several, you could eat a couple of them and get some hot herbal tea or something and a piece of fruit from somewhere and have that as a meal in a pinch. So we got into town, we checked into our beautiful bed and breakfast here. And then we went out to dinner, and we have come here before in 2019. So there was a place that we had gone to called Flavors Indian Restaurant. And I remembered how good their lentil curry was and that they had vegan options on their menu and really good ones. So we went there. It wasn't very busy. And I ordered one of it was like a vegan, it was called, now I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a whole tray. Tolly. Yeah, THALI, Tolly. It was, Steve's here helping me out in the background. He's actually taking a nap, supposed to be. I told him, I said, I'll talk and you can take your nap. Of course, how can he take a nap if I'm over here talking? He can put his earphones in. So the Tolly had the yellow lentil curry, some Indian rice, some lentil soup, a couple samples of other curry, and it had papadum, which is like lentil bread. And it had a couple things that had dairy in them. So I gave those to Steve. It had like a dessert And then it had yogurt sauce, which I don't use. So I just set that aside. But it was really good. It was such a delicious curry. Now there was a lot of it. So of course I couldn't eat it all. And the rice wasn't that great. So I didn't eat a lot of the rice, but still I had a great meal. And it wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't oil-free. So here's the trade-off. By taking the risk to eat in local restaurants and not bringing all my own food with me, it's going to be hard to be oil-free. I can be plant-based. I can be, as healthy as possible, but being oil-free for the couple days I'm away from home is a little bit harder. So how do I handle that? Well, I just do the best I can. But remember, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I've lost my weight. I've kept it off, and I'm not going to regain it by having a couple of days of plant-based food that might have a little bit of oil in it. So I just kind of roll with it. Don't worry about it too much. And I don't want to cook while I'm away because, frankly, there's no place to cook in this place I'm in. It's a suite in a traditional bed and breakfast where they feed us breakfast in the morning. So they give us a full breakfast, and they have all this food around like I have one tangerine left. If I went down to the dining room right now, there's a big tray of bananas, tangerines, probably other fruit, hot water for tea. And so I have ready-made snacks. I didn't go down there today because I bought some snacks at a little restaurant earlier, which I haven't eaten, but I don't really need anything. We had a couple of meals today already. So I didn't choose to try to cook here because I just thought, I don't want to do all that. I'm trying to get a little break, like a vacation. So we went to the Indian restaurant last night, and then for breakfast, we have been here before. So I knew that the owner's husband he's French, and he's also a chef. And he makes things custom for the guests. He makes the food while you go down to the dining room, and he makes your breakfast while you wait. So I knew I could get a really good breakfast because he went out of his way in 2019 and made me a really nice breakfast the 3 days we were here. So this morning we went down and had our breakfast, and I love the way they have lots of fruit. So they had this big cup of berries, mixed berries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. They had fresh squeezed orange juice. They had grapefruit and orange halves. So I could have just eaten all that fruit. I ate a lot of it, but not all of it. And then they brought out French toast that he made, vegan French toast. It didn't seem like it had any batter or anything on it, so I'm not exactly sure. I think it was some kind of whole grain bread dunked in plant milk, and then it was just heated up. So it was pretty good with the fruit. So I had one piece of that with some of the fruit, and it was good. Penny says, do they accommodate whole food plant-based diets? They accommodate whole food plant-based diets, but there's some oil at the Indian restaurant. So I'm not sure they can make their food without oil, but it doesn't seem to be very heavy on the oil. Like there's not a pool of it swimming on the top. So the bed and breakfast, though, I'm sure they would, because what he brought me, and maybe, it was sauteed in some light oil, but it didn't seem like it had much on there. And so then he also brought me a bowl of creamy grits with a topping of some chopped up vegetables, avocado, a couple pieces of mushroom, and something else was on there. I can't.
Cheese.
Oh yeah, vegan cheese, which, I was like, she looked like cheese, but it was like a tiny amount. So it was really well made, and he went out of his way. It didn't taste like, and it didn't have any vegan butter on it that I could find. So it was great. So, but I could eat about half of it because it was a big serving. So I'm kind of picking at it, eating what I wanted to out of it, but it was still very tasty. So what a creative bowl of food, instead of, we have, for the vegans, we have a slow cooker with mushy steel cut oats. That's what I usually find. We went to a bed and breakfast in, it was in New York, Ithaca, New York. And that bed and breakfast had a vegan option, and it was still cut oats that had been cooked like in a crock pot or something, and they were just like glue. And they brought it to me, and it was like mushy and slimy and inedible. And I told the guy, I said, this is inedible to me. And he said, well, I don't understand that. This is popular among our guests. I thought, well, they have different dietary preferences than I do. So that's typical that you get some kind of, mushy oatmeal. So anyway, that's the breakfast. And, I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. It's in a really pretty dining room. And, it's just nice. So then we went out walking. I almost got 5 miles in today because we went out for a long walk. There's a world-class museum, American art museum called Crystal Bridges Museum. And it's real close to this bed and breakfast. And there are beautiful walking trails that go through these wooded paths and areas to get to the museum. So we went out and walked around. The museum is closed today, so I'll go back tomorrow. So that was a great way to get out and exercise. We walked over 3 miles this morning. We walked into the town here and walked around the town square and looked at places that we might go for dinner. And we actually found this really cute place. I'll show you what I got. It was called Sunny's, a new place. And since I'm going to be looking for a place to have my lunch tomorrow, I was kind of looking for a place I could have a plant-based meal tomorrow. Linda Russell says hi. So this place, my husband got vegan chocolate chip cookies. Of course, I might eat that one at some point. But they also had these sesame cashew bars, which they're kind of big, but the sesame cashew bar it's cashews and sesame seeds, and it's gluten-free. And I'm not exactly sure what all is in it, but I bought a couple of those and got him a couple of chocolate chip cookies, but haven't eaten them. I took a bite of one of the sesame bars, but I'm saving them for the flight back because just in case we get stranded again, I thought, well, those would be handy to have something to eat. And then I'll take some of these little tangerines. So that was fun to find a place in town. And they did have a nice breakfast option or a lunch option for tomorrow. They had some kind of avocado, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. They have a couple of different bowls that have tempeh and tofu. It was great to find something here in Bentonville that was a quick, grab and go coffee shop restaurant with some good tasting food, good sounding food. And they had this bakery with vegan options. Great. Now they probably have something in them that's not completely compliant. But like I said, those are going to be my kind of emergency things to eat because I will not find any vegan sesame cashew bars at the airport. I guarantee you. And I might even on Thursday, the day we're leaving, I might go to that restaurant and get one of their lettuce and tomato and avocado sandwiches to take with me to eat on the plane because we're going to be going back about lunchtime. And I have no idea what's at the Arkansas airport, but I doubt that they're going to have anything that I would eat. So again, that's how I prepare. I take a bunch of stuff with me, but not a lot, enough that I have, some fruit, my own homemade date cookies, something I picked up here in town, enough to have a meal because I can't rely on airports. The only thing I found in the airport, a couple things I found are at California Pizza Kitchen. They have a quinoa salad and it's a green salad with a bunch of quinoa on it. And if you don't use their dressing, which, if you didn't bring your own dressing, you're kind of stuck. But let's say you did bring a little bottle of balsamic vinegar, use that. Their dressing is Italian dressing. So in a pinch, that's still better than eating a burger. Okay. So that's how I look at a lot of this kind of stuff. Like, yes, I might be eating a salad with quinoa and some of their California Pizza Kitchen dressing, but I'm not eating a giant bowl from, Panda Express or something. So to me, I make the best choice I can. It might not be perfect, but it's still better than what everybody else is eating. So And that's been good for me. That's worked well for me. So for lunch, so we had the nice breakfast. We went by the bakery. And then later on, we went to lunch. And there's a place in town that my husband told me about the last time we were here. And it used to be a food truck, but now it's a restaurant. It's called Crepes Paulette, kind of like Crepe Suzette, but Crepes Paulette. And we went there before, and I remembered they had a vegan crepe that was full of vegetables. And they also had a couple of vegan soup options. So I thought, okay, we'll go there. I'll find something. Penny says, how do you get your food through airport security? Never tried that. Okay, Penny, I have some kind of bag, like a grocery bag or a Ziploc bag this time. And as long as it's recognizable as food, like I'll put, if it's a sandwich with hummus and vegetables on it and it's wrapped up and it's in some kind of bag that they can look at and see, and it looks like a cookie, and it's any kind of real food that you can just eat, they don't care. They're usually pretty good about passing that through. But if you try to bring a container of hummus, even a small container of hummus, they'll say no because it's like a paste form. But if the hummus is on a sandwich, they'll let you bring it. Same with peanut butter and jelly. If you try to bring a little container of peanut butter and jelly, you can't bring that, but you can bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you can bring things as long as they're made into a food you can eat. You could probably bring a bowl of beans and rice, as long as it's in a container and you can see what it is. So try it. I do it all the time because I don't like to buy airport food. So, but they might give you hassle if it's liquid, if it's a paste. Now I know Diane Doyle from Plant-Based Dallas will bring frozen food. She'll bring all of her beans and rice and sauces, and they're all frozen, and she'll bring them in a big backpack or something, and they'll pass it right through. But I've never tried that. Like I said, I'm usually not one to bring a lot of food on a trip. I'll get the food when I get to the town. I'll go to a grocery store if I have to. So we went to the crepes place, Crepes Paulette, and I wasn't really in the mood for the vegan crepe, which had a lot of cabbage and vegetables and stuff in it. So I thought, well, I'm going to try their vegan sweet crepe to see what it's like. And so they had one called the Daybreak crepe, and it consisted of, they use buckwheat flour. So it's a whole grain flour, and they have a non-stick crepe maker. So they don't put any oil on it. I was watching them through the window. It's a big non-stick thing. And on my crepe was some peanut butter, bananas, whole bananas, and some granola. Then they make a vegan granola. It's like a vegan coconut granola in their store, and they sell it. So it had granola, bananas, and peanut butter. And I think it had something else on there. And then they fold it up and they give it to you. It's like in a stand, in a wrapper. You eat it in your hands. And then they also had carrot ginger soup, vegan, which I had before, and it was really good. So I got a small serving. It was a cup about that big, very, very small serving. So I had my carrot ginger soup and my delicious buckwheat, peanut butter, banana, and granola crepe. So good. They serve it hot. It's all melty and delicious. That was wonderful. And my husband got to try a little bit of mine. He had his own, ham and cheese one, but mine was really good. So now, was that the healthiest thing I could have eaten for lunch? No, probably not. I could have gone somewhere and had a salad, but that's what I felt like having. And so that's what I had. It's my vacation time away. And then we proceeded to drive up to Eureka Springs and walk around for another 1.5 miles or so. So I've almost gone my 5 miles today. I have been eating tons of fruits, not so many vegetables. Drinking lots of water. This is herb tea. It's my orange herb tea, which is another thing I was going to show you. Another thing I do is I bring plenty of my own herbal tea bags from home. So I have my wild orange tea, Tazo, which is so good. I love it. And I have some Japanese twig tea. That sounds weird, but it's really good. It's called kukicha tea, roasted twig tea. I can't describe why it's good, but it's good. And then I get a lot of these tea bags from their the Republic of Tea. So I have everything from ginger peach to decaf green tea to apricot tea. So they smell good. I have all these different tea choices. And this kind of thing keeps me going because I can get the hot water and then it's easy to get tea. Melanie says, I've seen whole food plant-based forks over knives recipe for red lentil pancakes. So I thought they might have one at the crepe place. Glad they had buckwheat flour. Yeah, those red lentil pancakes, I've seen those, Melanie, on some of the forks over knives things. I bet they would be good. But the buckwheat was great and it was vegan, so they didn't have anything in it but buckwheat flour and some liquid. I don't know if they used a plant milk or whatever, but their crepes are like super thin. I'll post a picture. I took a picture of it in the YouTube community section. I can post pictures. So I'll post a picture today of all the food that I ate. That way I can put a collage there even. So even though I can't post on Facebook, I can post on the community section of YouTube. And I am working on getting my Facebook account restored. I have a feeling it will either get restored, or if it doesn't, I'll just start a new one, but be patient. It's going to take a little bit longer. So yeah, we had the crepes, and then tonight our plan is to walk into town, which is not that far, but it's still a good walk, and go to a Mexican restaurant called Table Mesa. And Table Mesa is somewhere I've been before with my husband. And they have really good fresh food. And one of the things they made for me before, and I'm sure they'll make it again, was a version of vegetable fajitas. But I remember their vegetable fajitas had stuff like bok choy and all these unusual vegetables. It wasn't just like peppers and onions. So when we go tonight, I'm going to ask them if they can make mine without oil, or in some way with as little oil as possible. Like they might have to have some oil on their griddle, but I'm going to see what they'll come up with, because I think they'll probably work with me on it. They do have rice and beans and tortillas and all that stuff, but I know how to eat at Mexican restaurants, so I'll be fine. And their food is fresh and it's good, so I'll find something to eat there and I'll be okay. So that's kind of how I'm structuring my days traveling. We picked out the places before we came. I knew they would have options that I could eat. They're not perfect, but I'm not snacking on junk food. I'm not eating anything that's, not vegan, and I'm eating smaller amounts. So, even though they gave me all these things to eat for breakfast, I ate parts of what they gave me. I didn't pig out and eat everything in sight. So I'm not like, I don't know how to describe it. Melanie says we have buckwheat pancakes from a mix. So it's a good taste, good for you. Thank you, Melanie. Glad you're watching. And hi to T.A. Weber from Phoenix. We've been to Phoenix many times, and I hate to say where I used to love to go, because we probably couldn't go there now and get anything that's compliant. So I won't even mention the famous pizza place there. But anyway, I'm happy that you guys are watching, and I will do fine, because in the past when I would travel, and not even that long ago, I guess 2 years before I started, 2 years ago, before I got serious on the 21-day challenge, whenever I would travel, I would eat a lot of extra food. So, ice cream. We were laughing today because we passed a place that had chocolates, over 200 varieties, and we would stop at places like that. And in fact, I remember in the not too distant past, in California, we would get a box of C's candy, like a pound box. And between the two of us, over the course of a few days, we'd eat the whole box. And a lot of it was probably me eating it. So I would do stuff like that. I would eat really rich food and lots of it. And, I would come back from a trip, even plant-based, having gained weight, even when thought I was eating healthy. And I would come back with a weight gain. So my goal is to not do that, and not come back, with any weight gain. Melanie says, I have to admit, even though it would be good for you to be back on Facebook, I really like this live video with live chat option on YouTube. You know what, Melanie? I'm going to keep doing these because I like the YouTube format. It gives me more space. I'm using my good camera and I'm able to watch your chat in a big white section where I can see what you're writing. I can read it and I can cook or I can talk, so I can communicate with you a lot easier. Facebook Live is not that user friendly because I have to watch, I have to use my phone to watch a small screen and the comments roll by too fast. So I'm going to continue using YouTube for live streaming. And of course, I use this format for my classes. So when I do my Zoom classes, I'm using this version of Zoom because this is really my Zoom, what it is. This is the same Zoom program I use for my cooking classes. There's an option on Zoom to go live on YouTube and Facebook for that matter. So what I'm going to do when I get the Facebook back is I'll go live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And so I'll be just like, it's how I came up with this is what Chef AJ does. She goes live through Zoom on YouTube and Facebook. So I thought, hey, she does this every day. I can do the same thing. It worked for her. So that's how I got started thinking about it, because I saw that other people were going live on YouTube through their Zoom. And I knew that I have my Zoom set up with a good camera app. And normally I have a microphone, but I didn't bring my microphone on the trip. So yeah, I think the quality is better and I can communicate with you better. So yeah, I think it's a win-win all around. So that's my plan. My plan is to go to this nice Mexican restaurant tonight with Steve, who I so appreciate him bringing me to this beautiful place and, reserving this bed and breakfast in the old style Victorian house. It's full of beautiful artwork. The people are so nice and it's like such a treat to come here. And then, having the town within walking distance and going to these really cute little restaurants, it's just fun. It's a nice getaway. So I'm looking forward to that. Tomorrow, Steve has to work all day. So we'll have our breakfast together in the bed and breakfast. Can't wait to see what he has in store for me, the chef. And, we'll have our breakfast in the morning. And then I plan to come up here and do some work because I'm working on getting my mailing list up to speed because I have no other way to communicate with people but through my mailing list on Constant Contact. So I'm working on that. And I need to get out the announcement for my next class in May the 21st, which is the pizza class. Tammy, oh, hi, Jocelyn, Kit. And Tammy, I am in Bentonville, Arkansas. And Bentonville, Arkansas is home of Walmart, but it's also a beautiful town. And my husband's here for business, and I came along to enjoy this beautiful scenery and bed and breakfast and just a nice breakaway from my puppies. I hate to say it, but they are very labor intensive duo, those two. I do miss them, but we have people living at our house while we're gone, taking care of them. So it's, they're fine. They're getting the woman that lives at our house when we're gone loves the dogs. And so they're getting plenty of attention. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be working and it's supposed to rain. So my plan is to get up in the morning, have breakfast, work here at my computer. And then at some point, I'm going to try to go for a walk if it's not pouring down rain and walk to the museum later in the afternoon with Steve. There's an exhibit we want to see called The Dirty South. I think that's what it's called, but it's supposed to be a really good exhibit. We're going to see that. And then tomorrow night, we have our last meal in town. We have reservations at a restaurant called Oven and Tap, and they have really good hummus. That's what I remember from this restaurant is they had excellent hummus, edamame, and flatbread and salad. So it's kind of like, okay, I could eat those things and they'll be fine. So that's what we're doing tomorrow night. And then we leave to come back the next day, Thursday. And then we head home and back to my normal 21-day challenge foods: beans, vegetables, fruits, and grains, which I'm eating those things now, maybe having a few little extra, sesame and cashew bar or something, but it's okay. So, like I said earlier, traveling can be okay. I mean, traveling can be manageable, and you have to decide how you're going to do it, what you need to do. And if I were staying in an Airbnb, I'd probably be making my own food some of the time, but maybe not, because I like to take a break and go to restaurants, but only out of town. So like in Fort Worth, I don't go to restaurants and eat vegan food very often. Rarely do I do that. It might be like special occasion or my birthday or something, but I normally avoid restaurants with vegan food because they usually have oil in them. But traveling, I try to make really good choices. And if something sneaks in that has oil in it, I might eat it. And I don't worry about it. I don't have a big, I just don't get upset about it because so far it hasn't been a problem for me. So that's it for today. I'm watching the comments. If you have any questions, any comments about anything, I'm watching. And I don't know how many people are on this live chat. It looks like 25 were watching. So if you don't get to ask your question during the live portion, you can always leave me a comment in the recorded portion. And I will answer your comment. So leave comments in the recorded portion once it's loaded up, and I'll be sure to answer them. So I'm going to sign off for today, and I will be back tomorrow sometime, probably during the day, maybe this time of day by the afternoon. So I'll have something to report to you. So probably expect to see me about the same time tomorrow, but probably like 4:30 p.m. And I will try to come on and give you an update. Let's see. Kim says, thanks for all the great trips. Enjoy the tips. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you, Kim. I definitely will. I'm enjoying it now. In fact, before I came on, there's a beautiful clawfoot bathtub in this gorgeous bathroom with a fireplace that goes to the bathroom and the bedroom. And I've got it full of hot water. So I'm going to soak in the hot bathtub and just relax. So thanks, everybody. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'm going to sign off for now. Bye-bye.